actually when I was probably 17. I went on a trip during my senior year of high school. I went on the National Dairy 4-H Conference to Wisconsin, and they always hold it during World Dairy Expo. And we visited a series of different dairy-related businesses, and one of those happened to include a farmstead cheese operation. And it was four brothers who pipelined the milk right underneath the road over to their cheese plant, and I thought it was the coolest thing that they were milking the cows in the morning and had cheese ready in the afternoon to try. And I came home and was like, Mom and Dad, this is what we have to do. This is the coolest thing ever. And I thought it would be a really cool way for me and my siblings possibly to have an avenue of coming back home without having to expand the dairy necessarily, but be able to build with the cheese plant. Most girls at 17 are thinking about boys and where they might go to college or what fashion is hot that time of year, but I was really just interested in learning more about cheese and how I'm going to make this end up being my life. And I didn't really think about it that hard or realize at the time how big of a deal it was that I knew what I wanted to do. I've kind of revolved my life around cheese ever since then, and studied dairy food quality at the University of Minnesota, but I really focused on food marketing when I was at the U. A lot of cheesemakers told me that you can make good cheese, but it's really hard to sell it or market it.
How did Elise and I meet? Well, we know we first met in the Junior Holstein Association, and we had known each other through that, and obviously you guys have seen Elise by now. She was way out of my league at the time, and in college I tricked her and coerced her into dating me. Basically, we really got into cheese because even though I wasn't convinced this could be our future, we moved to Vermont right after I graduated college. Elise had a job that she enjoyed but didn't love. She still wanted to get back to cheese making, and I took a job with that same Holstein Association where Elise and I first met out in Vermont. So just 48 hours after I said I do to Elise, we got married just a few miles away from where we're sitting here at Redhead Creamery, and we moved to Vermont. And so we're by ourselves. We're a 22 and 23-year-old out in Vermont, no family, no friends. So we basically took a honeymoon every single weekend. And Vermont is a hotbed, and actually all of New England is a hotbed for artisan stuff, but Vermont is especially a hotbed for artisan cheese and has dozens of cheesemakers who've been making cheese for a couple decades or something less. But we were able to go, learn, steal lots of ideas, and after 2 years in Vermont, I was longing to get back on dairy farms. With my job being in government relations, I was in a lot of meeting rooms, but I wasn't getting on farms as much as I wanted. And I had interned with a dairy magazine in college that I had always wanted to get back to, and that opportunity came up, and we did. Just so happens that dairy magazine is located 15 miles or 20 miles away from where Elise first fell in love with the idea of farmstead cheesemaking. So we again swindled her way into getting a job there, and they were great people to work with, and so we lived right in the middle of my job and her job, and both were, at least at the time, what we thought was living our dream.
After that, I was pregnant with our daughter Lucy, and we decided that we wanted her to be growing up on the farm. So she was actually only 3 weeks old before we moved back home. And it's been just a little over 2 years now that we've been back home, and we're very family oriented, and I really enjoyed that, and I wanted to be able to instill that on my current family, future family, and give my daughter the opportunity to experience that as well. Lucy does go to daycare, but she still has this experience of dealing with people, and she'll know where her food is coming from, how it's made, and I think that's a really cool opportunity for her and any future children we may have, and anyone that we bring here. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without the support of my parents. They have basically been there through the entire process, from me saying I want to make cheese to encouraging me through the classes that I didn't necessarily do well in college, like chemistry or other things, but they were always there supporting me and encouraging me to keep learning. I just really wouldn't have been able to do it without their support, and I really appreciate what they've done for us so far and continue to do.
Did we have hiccups? Did we ever? So we started getting permitting for this plant in June and July of 2013. And at the time we thought, wow, this is going to be a breeze. We'll be up and running by January 1st and be shipping out our first cheeses by Memorial Day 2013. Well, we didn't really start making cheese in earnest until Halloween of 2014, so 6 months after we hoped. A couple things held us back. We had a really hard winter last winter, so obviously our construction workers did their best, but it was cold outside and everybody works a little slower. July 4th we tried making cheese. Things weren't hooked up right. Later in July we tried making cheese, and again we wrecked the vat and had to send it back to Green Bay for almost 2 months in August and September, and then it just came back and had it set up for Halloween. So finally, 6 months later, we've been able to be going, and we've been going for, knock on wood, 3 weeks straight now with no problems, and we think we've done everything we could to prevent it. One of the really cool things that happened by us being delayed through all this process, if we would have started up in July, we probably just would have started making cheese and called it good and tried to find a wholesaler and go from there. But since we had a few extra months, we were able to make this store and event room, which has literally saved us, allowed us to have something for people to come look at, even when we didn't have cheese a few months ago and didn't know if we were ever going to get cheese. We could still schedule events here. So we've hosted things like a cheese and wine tasting, painting and cupcake day with one of our friends from Morris, and we hope to do lots more cheese education classes. And so now we're able to do that and put it all together. When Elise is actually talking about what equipment she's using, she can show them exactly what equipment she's using to make the cheese.
Do I ever get sick of cheese? No, I don't think I ever will. From quality assurance testing while we're making cheese to my dinner tonight will probably involve cheese of some occasions. I feel like if you surround yourself with good people, your life is that much more pleasant and enjoyable. And I wanted to deal with something, cheese especially, just makes people happy. I don't know anyone that gets upset from having really good cheese and wine or beer, and it's just a really fun, it's a fun culture and experience. The people in this industry are just awesome. They're all very sharing and want to communicate with you and help you when you struggle. I text cheesemakers that I know on a regular basis just asking for help because I don't always know what I'm doing. So it's a really cool industry, and it's really fun to be part of multiple aspects of the dairy industry that not everyone gets to have a part of.